what about the party's plans to launch a reform program? Can you please tell us what it is about?
Okay. Thank you very much. So we're going to announce to the media and the people of Zimbabwe our reform program. The reason being, as we have mentioned, that there must be electoral reform in this country. We have engaged with all the stakeholders to make sure that the election is free, fair, and credible. The 7 minimum demands that we make, as I've said, include issues around the voters' roll, issues around media freedom, issues around the printing, storage, and distribution of the ballot paper, and of course the independence of the commission itself. If you look at the recent debate around the ZEC commissioner, who happens to be a child of a member of ZANU-PF, a vice president, it's a worrying trend, because objectivity, just like justice, must not just be seen, but must be felt to be done. That is the basic principle. And principles of natural justice, which obviously we have obviously been worried by the fact that our members of parliament have not been co-opted into the Standing Order and Rules Committee, which was interviewing ZEC commissioners. And this assault and undermining of the legislature in Zimbabwe is a big problem, because Zimbabwe cannot continue in the pathway of executive tyranny. We're a constitutional democracy. The judiciary must be independent. The legislature must be able to hold the executive to account. And the legislature must be allowed to do the law, must be able to construct the law, and must be able to be independent. And of course, the executive must be able to conduct itself in the manner dictated by the constitution in this country. But the current present system is dominance of the executive and polarization of institutions of government and undermining of rule of law and the principle of separation of power. So we believe that those issues must be resolved. Parliament must be allowed to do its work, so that there is credibility and ZEC's fidelity to the constitution. As I've said, has got a bearing in how citizens participate in the election. So that's why we are going to be launching our program. And we think that the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission and anyone interested in the Zimbabwean electoral process must be able to ensure that ZEC conducts itself in a manner detected by the law. Because the Citizens Coalition for Change is interested, just like any other stakeholder, in the electoral process, so that we are able to resolve the issue of successive disputed election that has poisoned our politics and consequently affected the governance and the economy in this country. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
2 questions for me. First, I just want to seek clarity. This regarding the ZEC commissioner who was recently appointed. Is your bone of contention with this one particular commissioner, or are you happy with the other commissioners that were appointed to ZEC? That's the first. And secondly, what action are you going to take now that the appointment has been made? And is there any cause or a recourse to your objections?
Thank you.
Secondly, you spoke about dialogue. Clearly, ZANU-PF is not willing to dialogue. So who are you going to be dialoguing with? You said dialogue is critical to achieve some of your aims. So who are you going to be dialoguing with? Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Look, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission appointment of commissioners, we have made it very clear that we have a bone of contention, in particular with the appointment of a commissioner who's the daughter of Mohadi, because as I've explained, that it's got a bearing on the integrity and the independence of the commission. Look, Mohadi is an electoral contender in the 2020 election as vice president, and it has got a bearing on obviously its integrity, because one can't be a judge where they are an interested party in. And then in terms of the action, look, we have said, number one, we are going to be using parliament as the point of entry to make sure that we question and find redress to the issue of this particular appointment. Number two, we believe that to save whatever is left of the integrity of the commission, the said commissioner must just resign. If you read and listen to the interview, that was any right-thinking Zimbabwean can tell that the person is not fit for the job. It is no brainer. It is no conversation. So anyone interested to not just to the fidelity of the commission to the constitution, but also to its credibility, whatever is left of ZEC's credibility can be saved by making sure that the said person must be able to resign. And we obviously, in terms of our third course of action, we as a Citizens Coalition for Change, we have said that the commissioner must resign and do the right thing, because we don't want to invoke Section 59 of the Zimbabwean Constitution as a point of entry and exercise our displeasure through petitioning and demonstrating against the commission. So we believe that there is room for this thing to be addressed before we invoke Section 59 of the Zimbabwean Constitution. In terms of dialogue, look, ZANU-PF is not about, this country is not owned by ZANU-PF. And Mr. Mnangagwa must know that. The demand for a dialogue is because we are pushing the envelope of conversation. We are pushing the envelope of peace and stability, because if there is no conversation on what must happen, it has a bearing on the future stability of this country. So it's not about them politically not being interested. It's about the people of Zimbabwe. This is what the people of Zimbabwe want. People of Zimbabwe want a genuine, authentic leadership that must take this country forward. And we believe that for the purpose of stability in this country, there must be conversation. That's why we are obviously engaging with our partners in the region, and of course progressive Africans, so that they help us in this particular process, because we believe that, for example, my brother here from the SABC, you know that it's in the interest of the South African government to make sure that Zimbabwe resolve its domestic issues, because the surging and movement and migration of Zimbabwean people into across Limpopo is not just a foreign policy issue to the South African government, but of course it's a domestic issue. That's why we have to resolve our own issue, so that our people are not reduced to second-class citizens across the different parts of the world. So we must resolve our own issues as Zimbabweans, and any genuine Zimbabweans who has fidelity to the country of Zimbabwe and is a patriot must understand that we must be able to have a conversation about elections in this country, so that we don't have disputed elections. Because if we have got disputed elections, Zimbabwe cannot continue in this vicious cycle, because it has a bearing on the stability in terms of the economy, and of course in terms of our social service that we provide to the people of Zimbabwe. So that's why we have to resolve the issue of elections. I think I've answered that, unless something to add. I'll give my colleague.
Okay, thank you. Ostalos spoke about the 7 key issues that we envisage as the CCC with regards to electoral reforms. And one other issue is, which is most importantly, is the independence of, not just ZEC, but also the other state institutions. And with regards to independence, we speak on the issue of, the selection of, commissioners, that are supposed to be independent. And, as a party, we've said that we're looking at an expert-driven selection process. And when we look at the issue of how Muhadi's daughter was appointed, we start to question as the CCC to say, really, what value addition is she going to bring, to the commission? So what expertise? This is what we want to know as citizens, as the people of Zimbabwe, to say, okay, fine, the various commissioners that have been appointed, what value addition are they going to do? What changes are they going to bring into the commission? So this is why we are saying it's not just about, about her being appointed, but even all the other commissions as well. We want an audit to say, okay, with these various commissioners, what are they bringing, to the electoral table as mandated by the Constitution of Zimbabwe?
Thank you very much, Champion Ellen. Is there any other question? I take it that there is clarity. I want to conclude by urging Zimbabweans to, as I've remember, I mentioned that there is, of course, the issue of voter registration, which we believe that the Commission must be able to open up a process to make sure that we register our people, and this time to avail identity documents. The Registrar General's office has a mandate to make sure that they provide identity documents to our people. We urge Zimbabweans to register as voters, but this is an important part of the electoral process, so that we are able to do our part as the political leadership and the citizens coalition, and citizens must be able to help us to push the most important envelope of making a democratic breakthrough in this country. Members of the 4th Estate, I cannot thank you much for your time that you have availed to us to cover our press conference. The Citizens Coalition for Change continues to be growing in terms of its social base and focusing on the task at hand to make sure that we win Zimbabwe for change. Thank you very much. Have a good day.